Are you tired of telling your students to quiet down every 15 minutes? Are you frustrated that you have to keep stopping your teaching just to get your students to be quiet? Well, in today's video, I will be sharing some tips on how you can quiet down a noisy classroom. Hey teacher friends, Michelle here. I'm a behavior strategist and I help teachers and schools with strategies and tips to help them manage their classroom and their students with less stress and less struggle. So in today's video, we're talking all about how to quiet down a noisy classroom. Before I share my tips and strategies, I want to set the foundation with these two things. If you are constantly having to tell your students to be quiet, to stop talking, consider the fact that they may have a need for social engagement. Think about it. For many of us, when we went to school, it was all about getting to see our friends and talking with our friends. Well, today's students are no different. And because our society has changed, they often get less in-person social engagement than we did back in the day. So your students' behavior may be communicating a need. And remember, an unmet need does not die, it usually gets stronger and bigger. The second thing is that you have to upgrade your awareness. You have to be aware of when the talking is happening. That means looking at the time of the day and figuring out during what activities these behaviors tend to show up. So the first strategy is to communicate your boundaries. Now, before you communicate, decide ahead of time when your students are allowed to talk and when they're not. If you're one of those teachers who says, I don't want my students talking at all for the entire day or the entire period, you may be setting yourself up for failure. Once you have decided on the boundaries, now you can begin to teach your students when they can or cannot talk. Do not do this while you are redirecting or correcting your students because they're less likely to listen or receive what you're saying while they're getting in trouble. You want to choose a time where there is very little to no conflict, like class meeting time, or set aside time in your day or your class period to teach the skill. One way you can teach it is create a lesson called When We Can Talk. Draw a T-chart on some chart paper or your whiteboard, or have it set up on your computer, or have it set up on your smartboard. And you have two categories, when we can talk and when we can't. And together with your classroom, you're going to introduce the boundaries and get student feedback so that there is full understanding of what is expected. Also, you want to have some follow-up activities. Oftentimes as teachers, when we're teaching a behavior skill or a social skill, we forget the follow-up. So create some follow-up activities. They can do a journal question, discussion groups. You can do a mini quiz. You can have them do something creative, like create a poster or a TikTok video that talks about when they can talk and when they can't. That talks about the boundaries that you have just taught them. Strategy number 2 is to schedule talk time. If your students are struggling to be quiet at the appropriate time, schedule blocks of time when they are allowed to talk and socially engage. Schedule these times in your day so that they do happen and that your students know when they will happen. Also, they can be social during academic time as well. So you can have activities where they are engaging verbally with one another. Activities such as think, pair, share, discussion circles, partner groups, and group projects. Build those into your day and into your lesson plans. This can reduce their need to talk when you don't want them to. Strategy number 3 is to structure your transitions. Transitions are like a commercial break during a TV show. So during the TV show, we're all in, we're paying attention, we're focused. However, when the commercial comes, that's when we get up to use the bathroom, go get a snack, or have conversations with whoever's in the room. And a lot of times that's how our students see transitions as well. It's a break in the program and it's their time to have a conversation or maybe get up and move. If you're seeing a lot of unwanted student talk during transition, you're going to have to plan and structure it differently. So think to yourself, what is the expectation? Can your students chat and transition at the same time? Some teachers say to me, no, because if I let them start talking, they'll never want to finish. One thing that you can do if you are going to allow them to talk is to have a signal for them to stop. You can use a timer, you can use music, you can use a quick student activity. Any of those things will help to signal, okay, it's time to stop the talking. Also, if you find out that your students can't handle chatting and transitioning, let them know. Don't ignore it, because they'll say, well, why can't we talk? You know what my answer is? You can't handle it. And let them problem solve and come up with some ideas that they can implement to change things. Strategy number 4, use your classroom management system. Every teacher needs a classroom management system outside of or in addition to the school-wide behavior plan, because the school-wide behavior plan was meant for the entire general classroom body. But you know, in your classroom, you have unique needs, unique behaviors that need to be increased or decreased in your classroom. And that general school-wide plan will not give you the results that you're looking for. So there are some teachers who say, well, I have students who are talking while I'm talking. This is a great time to use your classroom management system. One of the main purposes of your classroom management system is to communicate what is acceptable and what is not. And it's done through a combination of things: rules, expectations, reinforcement, incentives, and consequences. Use the reinforcers and consequences in your classroom management system to shape that talking behavior. Use your system. That is what it's there for. So there you have it, teacher friends, 4 strategies that you can use to quiet a noisy classroom. During what times or activities do your students get really chatty? Share that in the comments below, and I will see you soon.